Each year, we celebrate our political history makers who are committed public servants in communities around the state. This year, I had the pleasure of having a fireside chat with the following three North Carolina history makers. The Honorable Eva Clayton, former representative of the North Carolina Congressional District 1. The Honorable Mel Watt, former representative, North Carolina Congressional District 12. And Representative G.K. Butterfield, North Carolina Congressional District 1. This conversation will be immediately followed by a conference break and scheduled to resume at 5:30 p.m. Well, good afternoon. We are excited to convene three of North Carolina's inspiring and notable public servants for our annual History Makers opening plenary discussion. We have with us today the Honorable Eva Clayton, the Honorable Mel Watt, and the Honorable G.K. Butterfield. Thank you and welcome to each of you. By way of introduction, the Honorable Eva Clayton. Eva M. Clayton is the first African-American woman elected to represent North Carolina in Congress and the state's first Black representative since 1901. Prior to serving in Congress, she was a Warren County Commissioner, Assistant Secretary to the North Carolina Department of Natural and Community Development, and Director of the Soul City Foundation. In Congress, she was recognized as a leader, elected as the president of her Democratic freshman class, served on the Agriculture Committee, and was the ranking member of the subcommittee, Nutrition and Operations. In Congress, she fought for Black farmers and was influential in writing and passing the 2002 Farm Bill, which provided additional assistance to small farmers, increased resources for SNAP, known as food stamps, and expanded school lunch programs across the country. Congresswoman Clayton helped secure federal resources for various communities in her district. Upon leaving Congress, Clayton accepted a 3-year assignment as Assistant Director General with the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization in Rome, Italy. She headed up the International Alliance Against Hunger, which was composed of the 4 UN agencies related to agriculture and food, to create national alliances that express the will to end hunger and malnutrition. While at FAO, she and her team organized partnership alliances to fight against hunger and malnutrition in 24 different countries, including the United States. In retirement, Congresswoman Clayton remains committed to ending hunger and malnutrition and advocates for rural communities. She encourages young persons to be engaged, and she serves on several boards dedicated to those missions. The Honorable Mel Watt. A lawyer from Charlotte, North Carolina, the Honorable Melvin Mel Watt served 1 term as a North Carolina senator and as campaign manager for Charlotte Mayor Harvey Gantt. As a former member of the U.S. House of Representatives for North Carolina's 12th Congressional District, he served from 1993 to 2014. During his 11 terms in the U.S. Congress, he served as a vocal advocate for civil liberties and sought to build ties to business interests from a prominent seat on the Financial Services Committee. Born into poverty, Watt brought a unique perspective to a district known for its banking industry. Quote, "People look at you in a suit as a member of Congress and they think you've always been in a suit and always been a member of Congress," he once said. "I came out of a different kind of history," end quote. In Congress, he served on the Banking, Finance, and Urban Affairs Committee, later named Financial Services. He also served as chair of its subcommittee on oversight and Investigations and the Subcommittee on Domestic Monetary Policy and Technology. He was also assigned to the Judiciary Committee and served as the ranking member of the Judiciary Committee Subcommittee on Commercial and Administrative Law. Additionally, he served on the Post Office and Civil Service Committee and the Joint Economic Committee. Congressman Watt was unanimously elected chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus from 2005 to 2007. In Congress, he established a reputation as an independently minded liberal. On May 1st, 2013, President Barack Obama nominated Watt to lead the Federal Housing Finance Agency, which among other agencies administers or has oversight for the FHA, Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac. He served as director until 2019. He is married to Yolanda Watt, and they have two sons, Brian and Jason, both of whom are graduates of Yale University. He is also a member of the Mount Olive Presbyterian Church, as well as the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, Sigma Pi Phi fraternity, and is involved in numerous professional, community, and civic boards and organizations. And finally, Congressman G.K. Butterfield. He is a lifelong resident of Eastern North Carolina. Raised in Wilson, he spent his formative years attending Charles H. Darden High School and worked tirelessly in the civil rights movement as a young adult. His parents were Dr. and Mrs. G.K. Butterfield, Sr. His father practiced dentistry for 50 years and served as one of North Carolina's first Black elected officials since Reconstruction. His mother was a classroom teacher for 48 years. Congressman Butterfield received his undergraduate and law degrees from North Carolina Central University in Durham, North Carolina. After earning his law degree, Congressman Butterfield founded a law practice in Wilson and served the community in that capacity for 13 years. He is best known for his successful litigation of voting rights cases that resulted in the election of African Americans elected officials throughout Eastern North Carolina. In 1988, Congressman Butterfield was elected as a resident Superior Court judge. In this role, he presided over civil and criminal court in 46 counties in our state. For 2 years, he served on the North Carolina Supreme Court by appointment of the governor. Butterfield retired from the judiciary after 15 years of service and successfully ran for Congress. He was elected to serve the 1st District of North Carolina in the U.S. House of Representatives in a special election in July 2004, and he continues to serve today. In Congress, Butterfield is a champion for affordable health care, education, investments in rural communities, veterans affairs, renewable energies, and federal programs that support low-income and middle-class Americans. He serves in the Democratic leadership as Chief Deputy Whip and is a past chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. He sits on the influential Committee on Energy and Commerce, where he serves as the vice chair of the Subcommittee on Health. In addition, he serves as a member of the Subcommittee of Communications and Technology and Energy. In the 116th Congress, Congressman Butterfield also sits on the Committee on House Administration, where he serves as a member of the Subcommittee on Elections. Congressman Butterfield is a lifelong member of Jackson Chapel First Missionary Baptist Church. He is a veteran of the U.S. Army and a proud father and grandfather. Again, welcome to each of you, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
We're going to get right into our questions. Each of you has such a legacy as it relates to your body of service to the citizens of North Carolina. this country, and the world, what would you say is the most important aspect of your legacy? And let's start with Congresswoman Clayton.
If I am answering that for as Congress is concerned, I think it's in agriculture, and I think the fight for allowing the Black farmers to at least sue the government. That was a big deal because they had extended their right to sue. So I had to work with others to give them the extension and the right to sue. And I think my advocacy for those without food and overall, I think my focus on poor people and agriculture and the right to have access to food probably is my strongest piece. And it also has gone into other areas. When I was a county commissioner, I think my ability to bring industry to the county probably is, you know, and fighting the PCB, that was part of, you know, big fight and court action demonstration. So those two pieces of service elected, I think, were my strong suits. I think history will tell what it is, but I think that is, if I'm telling it, that's my say. You know, I think it remains to be seen.
And Congressman Watt.
Well, you know, I think my most important legacy is being mentored by Eva Clayton. She was like my mother when we got to Congress, and it was just a wonderful experience serving with her. To be honest, I never really think of legacy. I kind of believe that just showing up every day and doing what's in front of you on that particular day and trying to do it well is the most important thing for anybody to do. When I'm remembered, maybe at the end of the day, I'll be remembered as one of the chairs of the Congressional Black Caucus. We had a tight, aggressive agenda during my 2-year term as chair. I think I'll be remembered possibly as one of the people who was instrumental in the extension of the Voting Rights Act. Although the Supreme Court didn't like our extension for 25 years as much as we liked the extension. And then after Congress, I certainly probably will be remembered as the first African-American to preside over the Federal Housing Finance Agency, which had both Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the 12, subsequently 11 federal home loan banks under its jurisdiction, and controlled essentially somewhere between 40 and 60% of the United States economy. That was quite an experience for somebody who had grown up like I did. Perhaps somebody will remember that I was the first African-American to serve in that capacity, and that during my 5-year tenure, housing went very well. Nothing terrible happened in the housing industry during my 5-year tenure as the chair of as the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency. So, but again, legacies are something that other people worry about. Yes, I never worried about having a legacy. I just wanted to show up every day and do the best job I could.
Indeed. And Congressman Butterfield?
Well, first,